I'm here with Rodney, one of the co-founders of the PTA Global Academy, and we're going to be talking about how PTs value education and where it really sits in England in terms of training development and worldwide really. So Rodney, how do you at PTA Global combat education and how do you value it?
That's a great question, and it's an interesting question because what we're finding and what we see, and this is pretty much global, being from the US and seeing it's predominantly US, having traveled around the world, education really, if you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, doesn't do anything for a personal trainer. I'm going to be very, very backward and create a real paradox here. The most successful, if you're looking at money, the most successful personal trainers aren't the ones that are most educated. And that's part of the problem and part of the whole rationale why we developed PTA Global, which is the other irony, which is an educational company. But what we find is that if you're looking to get money, it's not necessarily about education because of what education has become in the industry. So we look at what education has kind of become, or what a lot of it has turned into, is it's just delivering information so someone can acquire some type of CPD or continuing education credit so they can continue with their licensure or continue with their particular practice. But what we're finding is that doesn't really work unless there's some form of application involved, unless the education solves for a particular problem, meets a particular challenge that we as trainers have or that the club has or that the industry has, then the education hasn't been very useful when we go back and look at through the last decade especially. So the reason we created PTA Global is because we really want to develop leadership. And the education is part of the process that we do that. And we do that through this whole system sciences and tools approach. And so we create systems that use the scientific information, which is typically what we teach, but then we deliver it through a tool, some type of application that you as a trainer or you as a club or the industry can immediately apply to create an effective change. And that's how we basically make the complex very simple and effective. And so I think if we're going to look at education, education in and of itself is worthless unless we have the ability to apply it, utilize it, and it meets a very specific need and challenge that we face in the industry.
Definitely. I think what's really good and what's key, what you just said, Rodney, is one thing that I've been guilty of in the past, and I think a lot of other trainers are, they go on courses just to collect certificates.
Yes.
And you go on lots and lots of different courses, but there's no real system, as you put it, to really bring it together. Because if you get the right system in the sciences, then the application, which is the tools, at the end is really quite simple. So it's making the complex very, very easy, like you said. So that's really good. So hopefully that's a little bit more helpful to the other trainers out there, really, not just in England, but across the world.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I'll see you again soon, buddy. Thanks.